My name is Julie Sullivan. I'm the principal here at Wilson. This is my second year here, so a lot of the faces look familiar, and for some of you I might be new. I do want to talk to you about kind of a new initiative. Those of you who followed last year and came to some of the K-8 information sessions, you heard a little bit about the Leadership Foundation. I'm going to talk about the K-8 part in a little bit, but just the Leadership Foundation. As you recall, last spring, the elementary schools and the junior high were let out 3 days early. And we had 3 days of training on Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And when you walked into our building today, you probably noticed that big painting of the tree, and it has all of the 7 habits on there. We are really, really excited about this. K-8, there's still some things that are being explored, but the Leadership Foundation, the training we had was absolutely fantastic. And we followed that up on Tuesday of this week with another full day of training. So you're going to hear your kids coming home. If you picked up one of these bookmarks, you're going to be hearing this language. They're going to learn it right on the first day of school. We're going to start working on being proactive, beginning with the end in mind, synergize. All of those terms are things that you're going to be hearing from your kids. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is K-8 explorations. This shouldn't be anything new to you because there was quite a bit of information that went out last year. We've had a group at the district level, teachers, administrators, working on looking at different options for giving education here in Owatonna. How do we deliver it? What are some different things that we can do? We're always looking to make ourselves better, and that was one of the things that they were charged with. And I'll tell you, so far they have done a fantastic job because they came up with some ideas, they took feedback, and they changed it based upon what you guys had to say, what we had to say as other administrators, what teachers had to say. So the question kind of sometimes comes up with, well, what stays the same? You know, what is all this K-8 stuff and what's it going to look like? You know what? We're going to still teach reading, writing, Phi-Ed, art, music. All of those things still stay the same. We still have our support services, ELL, special education, RTI. All of that will remain, gifted and talented. Montessori is still going to remain a choice in the district. That's run out of Washington. You'll still have a main classroom. They'll still have classmates, just like they always did. Communication and parent partnerships will still be important. We still want to keep all of that going. And we will continue to do all the things we've done with state standards, all of the teaching that we do every day. So what they really were looking for is, what are ways we can do better? What are some things we can do better to offer some choice and options to our families? What they kind of came up with is the foundation pieces. The one I talked to you about already, which is the leadership, we think is going to be a fantastic addition to our schools. The second one is inquiry, which really just gets kids to think and ask questions, to question why. How does this work? How does that work? And how can they investigate figuring that out? That foundation piece we're going to be trained on in the second half of the year, and then we will begin implementing that. So the leadership and the inquiry are going to be in all schools. The 7 habits, that's the same at Lincoln as it is at Washington, as it is at Willow Creek and McKinley and Wilson. That's the same. So will the inquiry piece will be the same. What happens beyond that is what they're really looking for, some feedback from you. And I talked about the foundation already, so I want to talk a little bit about inquiry. You know, it's problem or question-driven learning, encourages collaboration, which many of you in the workforce understand. You do that every day. It makes kids into explorers and discoverers, and it requires kids to think and teachers to become the guides, kind of the facilitators. So what are your choices going to be? Those of you who attended the meetings throughout last year, you probably remember that they said we have 4 options with the K-8 explorations. As they took feedback from you and as they did some more exploration, what they really decided to do was really offer, I'm going to say 2 plus 1 additional one, and I'll talk about that. Choice A is the way school is right now, coming to Wilson, kind of how we have done things with leadership and inquiry, a part of what we do, but not talking about a STEM school and not talking about, you know, an inquiry school or something like that. Choice A is just how the school is right now with leadership and inquiry embedded into it. And I'm saying choices because in October you're going to get a chance to voice your opinion, okay, on what you think you want for your children. Choice B is the foundations, like we're doing this year, inquiry and leadership, but also it adds that design focus, which is kind of that STEM, and I'll talk about that. Choice C is the foundation plus investigations. We'll talk a little bit more about that, and this is also in that brochure, so I hope you grabbed one. If you didn't, make sure you grab one of those colorful brochures before you leave. The foundation that has the design, if you look here on the green part, it says the core foundation, leadership and inquiry, like we're doing this year, but then maybe a little bit more of a focus on STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, and the visual arts. So that's what the one option is. And then the second one is the investigation by focus, which is really project-based learning that causes kids to kind of take ownership of their learning, and they'll learn and show their learning through various projects. So choice A, just how we have our school right now. You're content, you like what's happening, you like the leadership and the inquiry, added to, and not another piece on top of it. The second one would be kind of the STEM focus, and the third one would be kind of that project-based hands-on type of learning. So what does that mean? It carries over into 5-6. We've talked about that, you've probably heard information about that. They're going to carry on with a leadership school and a STEM school, and you can get obviously a lot more information. There's information on the web. You can talk to me, you can talk to some of the leaders in the district that are kind of going through all of this and helping us with this. But most importantly, at the October conference, you're going to get a chance to fill out a very short survey that says, I'd like choice A, I'd like choice B, or I'd like choice C. And what you say is really going to determine what happens in this district. That's what I really like about the initiative. They didn't take it and say, this is what we're doing, you're stuck with it kind of thing. They've presented some ideas, they've taken feedback, now they've adjusted it. And now they're asking you, what do you want as parents? So at October conferences, it's really important that you're there, because then you get a chance to put your voice into what do you want the future of the schools to look like.